It's all good. Great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute. And I'd like to begin our conversation with 4 years ago, this pandemic began, really threw everybody into a tailspin. How did
Yeah.
you survive it and how did it change you?
Wow. That's a great place to start.
Yeah, off the ground and running.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I could tell that I don't want to get your channel suppressed or anything like that, but
Sure.
to me, it was clearly an orchestrated event and intended to push a medical intervention that required an injection that people probably wouldn't go for otherwise. So, and then just to me, it was a totalitarian control move. That's my personal opinion on it. How I survived it, I basically am a healthy person. So I was taking a lot of vitamins and vitamin D, and I did have ivermectin. I did get COVID, and I took monoclonal antibody treatment and ivermectin, and I just got over it really fast. So I guess I just didn't buy into the propaganda.
Yeah.
And so my wife actually didn't even get it, which is good. And everybody else I know recovered pretty quickly from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I believe me, it was a very strange time. So there's a lot of things that go into who you are. You're an avid student, you're a teacher, you're an entrepreneur. But if we put you in front of a bunch of third graders at career day and one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
Yeah. Well, I'm an entrepreneur first and foremost, and just someone who really wants to help change the world. I see that the medical system in particular is not serving people's best interests. It seems to have been hijacked by big pharma and the insurance companies, and is not designed to make people well, but actually just keep people on a prescription or many prescriptions and expensive surgeries for the long term. So I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also an educator and a student. I continue to learn every day, and I'm a humble guy who knows I don't know everything, but I do have 30 years of experience, and my own personal health fell apart 30 years ago. And that's why I know so much about natural health, and how now I'm 50 years old and I feel better than I did 30 years ago. So
Yeah.
it's just, I'm really inspired to help and share whatever I know with people. And that's why I wrote a book to really make it simple for people so they understand how to detoxify their bodies, how to heal their gut, how to get rid of pain, and how to be happy. So those are all the things that I cover.
So take me back to when you were the third grade. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I really admired teachers, to be honest. So I always kind of thought I'll be a teacher when I grow up. And I guess over time, I realized that it wasn't a paying profession, and there was all this other scope of things that you could go into. And I really got drawn into business. But here I am writing books and educating people. So I guess in a way, I have become a teacher. Although first and foremost, I still feel I'm a student because there's just so much to learn. And it's really true that the more you know, you realize the more you don't know, because there's
Yeah.
just so much to know. But I know I've got enough under my belt now to really help people improve their lives and their health. So, like, I love to see people waking up feeling energized and not, lethargic, not needing coffee all day long to keep going, not having anxiety and depression. My life sucked 30 years ago. I'd wake up in the morning with chronic anxiety and just not want to face the day. And I had something called leaky gut syndrome, and it just trashes your immune system. You're sick all the time. I think things like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, those to me are just leaky gut syndrome symptoms. And if you can heal your gut, there's even the neurotransmitters that affect your mood. Those are actually produced in the gut. And the American Psychological Association even acknowledges that on their own website, saying that serotonin is produced in the gut. So, I mean, just all the evidence suggests that if you detoxify your body, heal your gut, get the proper nutrients, get a little bit of exercise, things turn around for most people. And you can avoid expensive drugs, surgeries, even overcomes cancer. I give lots of examples of things people can do, proven things to overcome cancer, all kinds of, even terminal issues.
Yeah. So take me back to where you were born and raised. How did you, because you talked about, 30 years ago, you didn't feel as good as you do today. Take me back to how these roots of entrepreneurship and getting into health and becoming an author and a teacher, how did all this happen?
Well, I grew up in a small town called Fort Frances, Ontario. It's a border town in Canada, just across from Minnesota. If you drive straight north of Minneapolis, you'll hit Fort Frances. And it's a small town, and I had a happy childhood. Played a lot of sports outdoors, and hockey and fishing, hunting, snowmobiling in the wintertime, all that kind of fun stuff. And had great friends and great family. So I had a charmed childhood. And then when I went off to university, actually, sorry, in high school, this is where things started falling apart. I started getting some acne. And I didn't have a great diet. I ate the standard American or standard Canadian diet at the time. So I did like sugary sodas and fast food and whatever basically my mom cooked for me, which had a lot of carbohydrates in it. And and then I started developing acne, which maybe I would have developed acne even if I had a pristine diet. I don't know.
Yeah.
But all I know is I was getting acne. I didn't like it. So at the time, there was a antibiotic called tetracycline that a lot of people would use to manage um, acne. So I asked my doctor about it, and he gave me a 6 month prescription, I believe. And he told me not to stay on it beyond 6 months, and I pushed him, and I stayed on it for 18 months. And quite honestly, six months is probably enough to just ruin your gut health because tetracycline is like putting Roundup on your lawn. Like well, maybe that's not a good analogy, but it's like putting a non-selective herbicide on your lawn. And basically it kills everything. So it kills the good bacteria and the bad bacteria at the same time. So it leaves you susceptible to bad bacteria coming back in, fungus, all kinds of problems. So then when I went to university, I partied a lot and was drinking alcohol and not really putting any effort into my health. And then at 21, I had a couple of vehicular accidents, a car accident, a boat accident, ended up with chronic pain. And then at the time too, my anxiety levels were just through the roof. It was just barely manageable. And life just sucked. And I was sick all the time. And then I met this massage therapist, and he put me in touch with naturopathic medicine. And that I did a couple blood tests, some saliva tests, stool tests, realized that my body was incredibly acidic. And chapter 2 of my book, I go into acidosis and pH and why you want to have an alkaline body and have, sorry, that's chapter 3. Chapter 2, I talk about oxygenating your body and how to increase the oxygen in your body and how inexpensive that is. Like there's a supplement called MSM, it's organic sulfur. It just makes your body more susceptible to hold on to oxygen and more saturated with oxygen. And just, there's just so simple tactics that people can do. And, now I feel fantastic. I
Yeah.
spent over $1 million traveling the world researching advanced wellness and performance enhancing technologies. And there's just so many exciting things that I share in my book, but a lot of them are just inexpensive. You can clean out your liver in 24 hours for like almost no cost. You already have the stuff you need in your house. It's fascinating stuff. And I just love sharing this with people.
Yeah. So who's been a hero for you, an inspiration for you?
Well, I really admire Dr. Mercola, Joseph Mercola. He's been a strong advocate for natural health and has been heavily suppressed during COVID. He was doing his best to educate people about what they could do to prevent and overcome COVID symptoms naturally without having to get vaccinated. And he was vilified and almost like I think he took most of his website offline because he was just getting attacked so much. He still has the #1 newsletter out there, but I think he's a very courageous guy and he does genuinely try to help people. Dr. Berg, the keto doctor, he's the #1 YouTube channel for health online. He's actually a friend of mine, and I really admire him. And the guy who got me started on my own path, he's actually wrote the foreword to my book. His name is Dr. Lawrence Swetlikoff up in Vancouver, Canada. If you're in Vancouver, you should check this guy out because he will definitely help improve your health. But there's so many unsung heroes out there. In fact, the more a person actually helps people, the more they get suppressed by the system. And I've seen people get chased out of the country and the licenses revoked and all kinds of things just by going against the grain and actually helping people without the standard drugs and surgery.
Yeah. So if you could meet one person alive right now that you find fascinating on this planet, who would it be? Who would you love to meet and talk to?
Man, you ask fantastic questions. I
Thank
love
you.
these. Very, very good questions.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I really admire Elon Musk for sure. I have met Donald Trump just briefly. Obviously, he's a polarizing character, and people either love him or hate him.
Yeah.
Um, but Elon Musk really fascinates me. He's a very successful guy, and I'd love to talk to him. Joe Rogan, I'd love to be on his podcast and
Yeah.
talk to him. He seems like he's a guy who just tells it the way it is.
Yeah.
And but you asked me for one, so I guess I'll go with
No, that's
Elon.
fine. We can have a round table. No worries. So, ultimately, at the end of the day, you're at this point now with your book and with the way that you live your life, you're really wanting to help people. But what is the ultimate motivator every day for you to get up and not only help others, but to grow as a professional, to grow as a human?
Right. Well, honestly, Joe, I feel like we're at a turning point for humanity right now, and things can either go up or they can just go into the abyss. Books like 1984, I think they aren't necessarily fiction. Um,
Yeah.
they seem to be telling of what is being planned and intended to be implemented. So I think that if we as society just become total effect and just give up and allow ourselves to be sick and stressed out and manipulated and divided, that we're going to go down. And I feel like there's no reason for that to let that happen.
Yeah.
And guys like you and me who are trying to make a positive change, and millions of other people, they're trying to make positive changes and actually sticking their heads out a little bit and willing to take a risk and share the truth with people, they can make a lot of change and a lot of positive impact. I know a lot of programs my church is involved with help change and improve conditions on the planet. And I donate hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just to make sure that, we're putting a future there for our children and our grandchildren, if you happen to believe in reincarnation for ourselves in the future.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, what's been your best fan letter or response you've gotten from your book?
Okay, well, a friend of mine, I started helping her out. She's actually an Australian actress, and she was one of the first people I started helping with her gut health. And she's just had so many positive impacts to the point where she's become an advocate and started doing commercials, like just little Instagram reels and stuff like that, showing people how to make probiotic yogurt. My number one selling product right now is actually a probiotic yogurt maker, and it is orders of magnitude stronger than taking like little capsules of probiotics, because you can turn billions into trillions of live cultures,
Yeah.
and then you can just consume this stuff, and it really helps boost your immune system, gut health, all kinds of positive benefits. But she's just become like a voluntary advocate basically, without me even really encouraging her to do that. So to me, and that's actually the last chapter in my book, is called Pay It Forward.
Yeah.
There's a really good movie that came out about 20 years ago called Pay It Forward, where
Uh-huh.
if you receive a favor, not to try and return the favor to the person that gave it to you, but actually pay it forward to three other people.
Yeah.
So she's just been sharing that information with other people. And to me, that's just totally what I'm all about. And I
Yeah.
love it's super inspiring.
That's cool. So, of all of the things that you've done and overcome and evolved into in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Wow. Dude, you asked the best questions. Well, that's really, I mean, I've had business failures and successes for sure, but exiting my company, I sold my company a couple of years ago. That was one of the most difficult things I've had to do in life. And ended up with an 8-figure exit, which was super like a proud moment for me, because I'd worked 7 years putting that business together, and I had two previous deals fall through, and I don't know, it was a really good moment. But like the day my first son was born
Yep.
is probably the most special day of my life. And but in terms of proud moments, I don't know. There's just, I guess there's so many.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard. And
No,
so
those
many
are
low
great.
points too. I don't want to come across as a guy that hasn't had, bad days and
Sure.
rough times, but
Yeah. So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, fans, clients, colleagues, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I'm a guy who's optimistic about the future and knows that we all have so much more capability than we believe we do, and society wants you to believe that you do. And if we can just ignite that self-belief and help people, like I used to suffer from a lot of feelings of guilt, shame, and regret. And until I got involved with my church and getting counseling and really actually taking responsibility for those things and moving past them, I was really just a fraction of who I am today.
Yeah.
So I just think that simple things like that, in terms of helping people realize they're holding themselves back. And oftentimes it's because of things that they've done and they regret and they feel guilty about. And it's just inhibiting their perception of themselves and their ability to reach out and impact the lives of others because they're so introverted and stuck in their own problems and feeling perhaps as a victim, or that there's nothing they can really do about things. So the total opposite is the truth, in my opinion, and from what I've seen. So I just want to ignite in people, and if I can help them get healthy first, because if people are feeling sick and in pain, like pain, if you're in chronic pain, that's no way to go through your life. I used to live with chronic pain. I know how much it sucks. So I have a chapter specifically about pain and how to get rid of pain, and it's not expensive and it's not difficult. You can do it,
Yeah.
and I make this totally available to people.
So if anyone wants to pick up your book, they want to hire you, learn more about you, reach out, where's the best place to go to do it?
Well, I mean, this book here is on Amazon, Ultimate Health. Break free from your health issues and live your best life. I totally believe that no matter what you're dealing with right now in terms of your health, you can improve it.
Yeah.
Maybe not cure it totally, but actually get the symptoms manageable. And I think that's totally realistic. So if you go to Amazon, I think the book's only $3.99 as a Kindle download right now. You can read it on you don't need a Kindle device. You can read it on your phone, computer, laptop, iPad, whatever.
Sure.
And then CraigBrockie.com. My brand is Amazon.com/ultimate. If you want to check out our yogurt maker or essential amino acids and other products that really will help improve people's lives.
Yeah. Sounds wonderful. Craig, this has been great. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your story, for your passion. Best of luck with everything.
Joe, incredibly good questions. Thanks for hosting me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Take care.
Take care.